I have a huge order of book mail that came in over the summer, and I've been dying to share them with you. So today we're gonna go through all of these. I'm gonna go kind of quick through each one because there are so many. But I got quite a few books in the mail this summer, and I wanted to share them with you. I'm gonna show you the inside of each one as I go over quickly what each one is about, and show them to you so that you kind of get an idea of which ones you might want to add to your collection or share with your students. So without further ado, let's jump right into those books. The first one we have is 18 Flowers for Grandma, A Gift of Chai. And this one is a celebration of family, culture, and that bond between generations. Sadie's grandmother is studying art, and she invites Sadie to learn with her. But in the process, her grandmother passes on more than just a passion of art to her young granddaughter. She also shares her knowledge of Jewish cultural traditions with her as well. A great book for you to pick up for your classroom. Next, we have The Great Expedition. This one is by Peter Carnavas, and it explores the wild country, the playground, and a great imagination. In this book, a group of young explorers are sent on a mission. They have to travel across the country to deliver a parcel. This fun one really captures the essence of summer and the joys of going on an adventure. A fun one to add to your classroom collection. We have Marvelous Margo, a story about kindness and cake. This one is written by Lou Peacock, and in this story we'll learn that kindness and cake are the best recipe for friendship. Margo decides she's going to bake a cake for her friend Oscar. So she takes off in her little red wagon with her cake in tow, but along the way she meets many friends who all need her help. And by the time she reaches Oscar's house, will there be any cake left for her to share with him? You'll have to read this one with your class to find out. Next, we have The Light from My Menorah, celebrating holidays around the world. The illustrations in this one are beautiful. It's written by Robin Held. And in this one, The Light from a Menorah, I almost dropped it, takes a young boy around the world to celebrate all the different festivals of light, as well as the people who celebrate them. It really evokes the quiet wonder of a holiday night. And in the back, there's an author's note that talks about all the different holidays, such as Hanukkah, Diwali, Christmas, Kwanzaa, St. Lucia's Day, and gives more information, more background on each of those holidays after reading this one through. But like I said, grab this one especially for that December holiday time to share with your students. So that way you're celebrating more than just one holiday and helping students understand all the different holidays that are celebrated. Next, we have a really cute one. This one is a Minnie and Milo book, which I believe is a series. This one's called The Big Flappy Ears. I believe there are multiple books in this series. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But in the story, Minnie's ears are bigger than big. They are huge, but she has a problem. Those ears, they aren't very good at listening. And when she misses out on a class trip, she realized maybe the size of her ears isn't the problem. And we learn that it's not the size or the shape of your ears, it is how well that you use them. This could be an important reminder for some of our younger, well, I guess any of our students that need help with listening. It is targeted towards younger students, but a cute book to share an important message about the importance of listening with your students. Next, we have a very colorful book. This one is called Color Makes the World Go Round by Christopher Nielsen. And in this book, it asks you to imagine a rainbow without color, or flamingos, or red shoes, or a zebra. Well, maybe not that one. This book celebrates the variety, the diversity, the difference that color creates in our world. And it takes us through a jungle of animals, and especially the outside world. And it really invites you to imagine a world with color and without, and what that difference is. and it shows how color makes our world wonderful. And I think this would be a great conversation starter with your students about how color makes such a difference in our world and what our world would be like if we didn't have so many different colors. And because it's a book about color, it has such amazing illustrations, really bright illustrations in it that I think will really entice your students. This next one really stuck out to me. This one is called Jelly Boy. It's by Nicole Godwin. And it talks about how a young jellyfish finds what she thinks is a jellyfish friend, but along the way, your students will realize that it's actually a plastic bag. And she talks about how much she loves this friend, how it's a great listener, but then realizes that it actually, even though her family warns her, she finally realizes that this plastic bag poses danger, and her family is there to help save her in the end. But it will spark discussions on how important it is to keep our oceans and even our world clean, how dangerous plastic bags can be for animals, especially in the ocean. And so I think this would be a good conversation starter, maybe around Earth Day or before summertime, as students are maybe getting ready to go to the beach, or really any time of the year. But talking about how we need to take care of our oceans and how dangerous our litter and our trash can be for animals around us. Okay, this next one is very long. So this is a beautiful book. It's called Secret Gardeners, Growing a Community and Healing the Earth. So really interesting book, really great for science. It does have multiple chapters in it. So it is very long, and it blends fiction and nonfiction, which I think is neat. So there's a story in here, but then it also gives information about planting a garden. So in this story, these three children stumble onto an overgrown yard, and they decide to turn it into a garden, and they kind of rally the help of the community in creating this beautiful garden. But then they learn that this space is going to be taken over by a parking lot and going to be paved over. And the children kind of rally together with their community to try and save their garden. And then along the way, as I mentioned, there's nonfiction aspects in here, and it talks about tips for planting your own garden and things that are important in helping cultivate the earth. So this would be a really neat one, especially in the springtime when families might be planting, or you can talk about planting gardens with your students. Like I mentioned, it is longer. I would definitely break it up into shorter sections and not read it all at once. There are quite a few pages. It does also include a glossary and more information in the back, but yeah, it is over 50 pages with pretty long pages on each one. This next one is called Hank Goes Honk, and this is by Maudie Powell Tuck. I'm not sure how I feel about this one yet. I am going to share it with you, and I do think it has an important lesson, but I don't love some of the phrasing in this book. So in this book, Hank is a very loud goose who sometimes bothers his friends. They do use the word rude and obnoxious quite a few times throughout the book, which I don't love those terms, especially in a children's book, but take with it what you will. It does have a good message about being considerate of others, because in this story, Hank doesn't see anything wrong with interrupting others, with being loud during a movie, with taking stuff from other people without asking. And I think sometimes Hank, or even some of your students, might not even realize that they're doing that. And I think by reading this book, it'll kind of bring it to their attention. And in this story, he starts to realize that it might be upsetting everyone, and can he come up with ways to be considerate to others. So like I said, I like the message of the book, I just don't love the way it goes about it. So take that with what you will. This next one will be perfect for Halloween coming up next month. Griselda Snook's Spectacular Books. So I also love that it incorporates books and reading. And this one is really neat. You'll be able to see, if you're watching the video, the bright neon orange. Like it shows up on the camera, it's just as bright in person. The neon orange pops of color in this book, which I feel like just screams Halloween to me. But this book by Barry Timms is about a young boy who steps into Griselda Snook's bookshop, and it's a Halloween themed bookshop, which is even neater. But he's convinced that he is not going to find any books that are good for him. There's so many books that he can choose from, such a variety, but he's convinced none of them are right for him. But then a guest reader at the store might just be able to help him. You'll have to read this book with your students to find out if he ends up with a book at the end or not. The next book that I have is Small Steps, Big Change, written by Anne-Marie Cool. This one has 14 tips for helping to build a better tomorrow. So it's actually based on the Sustainable Development Goals that were formulated by the United Nations. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it gives 14 different tips, there's one on each page, to help students not only improve themselves, but the community around them. So on each page, they'll meet different people, different characters, such as water hero, sharing hero, nature, climate action, eat well, stay well. Each one has a different hero, and it includes tips for keeping ourselves healthy by eating fruits and vegetables, drinking water, stuff like recycling by reusing our things such as plastic bags, or recycling our water bottles, or reducing the amount of waste, treating others with respect, and working together. So I think as I read aloud, this would be a lot kind of all at once. They are really neat pages, but I think going through like one or two each day would be kind of neat, helping students to understand about sharing, about treating people with respect, about using nature, and really starting conversations on each tip with students and brainstorming what they can do to bring those tips into their own life. I think that would be a really neat way to use this book rather than just as one straight read aloud, because those 14 tips are a lot. But coming up, reading one or two each day and having students create projects or ideas on ways they can bring each one of them into their own lives would be a really cool way to use this book. Now this next one might be one of my favorites because it's about books and reading. This one is My Book and Me by Linda Sue Park. I don't love the illustrations in this one. I'm not sure students will love them, but you'll have to see. You'll have to share with your students. But I love that this book is about a girl who loves reading, and she has her favorite book. And she carries it with her everywhere, and she talks about this book and how special not only the book is, but how special reading is to her as well. And it really invites your students to think about their favorite books, books that they go back to over and over again, like take them on adventures that they love to revisit or have their favorite characters. So this would be a great one at the beginning of the year to really talk about how special books are in our lives, that they're not just work that we do, that reading can really have that magical effect on our lives. A great one to add to your classroom collection. This next one is fun. It is called Never Ever Ever Ask a Pirate to a Party. And this is by Claire Helen Welsh. This is fun, bright colored, silly book that your students will definitely love. And it's about this birthday party that has pirates and dragons and dinosaurs and unicorns, and how these guests can get a little chaotic. The dragon might set fire to the decorations. The unicorn might demand bubbles and glitter. But then it ends with never sending your guests home, because having a party is so much more fun with friends. And it has that simple message underneath all that silliness about how celebrating and spending time with our friends can really make us happy. A fun one that I think your students will definitely enjoy. Next, we have Trains and Trainers by Sara Musa. In this story, it tells a story of a young boy who has a brother who is autistic, and that he loves his brother, but sometimes he just gets really frustrated with him, especially when they fight or his mom won't let him have something or do something on account of his brother. And it takes you through that frustration that some of your students may have felt. And it just talks about how sometimes life with his brother can really feel hard, but then his brother does something special to cheer both of them up and he realizes just how unique and wonderful his brother is and how their relationship is and how much he does love his brother even through all of those hard, difficult times. And at the end of this book, it also comes with discussion questions that you can use with your class to talk about the different feelings and emotions and the different events that happened in the story. This next one is beautiful. This one is called The Language of Flowers, written by Shyala Smith. And it's just gorgeous cover, gorgeous illustrations of these flowers. And the young girl learns the language of flowers with her appa as he works in a flower shop. That each flower represents something different and how they help their customers who come in to buy the bouquets of flowers to make sure that their bouquet is full of everything that they are looking for, to speak those different languages, to speak those different emotions, whether they're feeling happy or sad or excited, and how each one represents something. She truly loves helping her appa sell these flowers to the community. But then one day she learns that one of their favorite customers has passed away, and she uses the flowers to help express not only her grief for this customer who has passed away, but something to represent him and to remember him by, and she uses the flowers to help her with that. But beautiful illustrations throughout this story, and a great book to help students understand grief and work through it a little bit. Next, we have a fun book. This one is Around the World with Friends by Philip Watcher. And in this story, Raccoon finishes his book and decides he's going to go on his own adventure. And in order to do so, he borrows things from his friends, such as a boat from Badger, but Badger insists on coming to help him out. Fox helps him with food, but then insists he comes because everybody needs a cook on their adventure. Bear comes to scare away the jellyfish. Crow is the lookout. And throughout the story, we realize how much fun an adventure is when you take your friends along with you. A great story about the power of friendship to share with your students. This next one is really interesting. This one is called This Is My Treehouse. And in this story, a young boy shares his new treehouse and all the adventure that it brings along with it. It's a castle, it's a pirate ship, an igloo, a plane, it's a place to dream. And this book shows us the power of the treehouse and all the different ways that our imagination can take us places, but how that treehouse also provides that quiet space to be by yourself and to reflect and to think. This will definitely leave your students wanting a treehouse of their own, and you could even have them create their own idea of a treehouse and what they would turn it into and what kind of adventures they would go on in their treehouse. So this would be a great read aloud, and looking at the cover with all of the red and orange and yellow leaves is making me think of fall, so I feel like this would be the perfect book for September or October. Okay, we have just a couple more. The next book I have is Halima Superhero Princess. This is by Emily Joof, and in the story, a young black girl is going to her friend's birthday party, and all the girls are going to dress up. So she can't decide what she wants to dress up as. Should she be Pippi Longstocking? Should she be Elsa? There's so many options. But her friends point out that she can't be either of those because she doesn't look like those characters. Well, her mama tells her that she can be anything that she wants to be. And so together they discover strong, brave women to look up to. And Halima finds the confidence to become her own superhero princess. And I love the references in this book to some powerful women that your students can look up to, such as Serena Williams, Michelle Obama, Simone Biles, Kamala Harris. So many women that are strong, that are brave, that are confident and powerful, that your students can look up to, boys and girls, and that this young girl did as well. A great book to add to your library collection. And now we have our last one, which is perfect for the holiday season. This one is called The Christmas Snow Globe. And in this story, it's Christmas Eve, and two young siblings are so excited. They ask their parents if they can open one gift on Christmas Eve, and their mom lets them open a gift, and it's a snow globe. Inside the snow globe is a house that looks exactly like theirs, except their house doesn't have any snow. It's Christmas Eve, they don't have snow. So as the young girl brings it up to bed, she shakes it before she goes to bed. She wakes up and it's snowing in her room, and her brother go on this adventure throughout the house as it's snowing inside their house. And then at the end, you realize it's a dream, that the snow wasn't really in the house, but their parents call to them to wake them up in the morning, and they find snow on the ground outside their house. It had snowed outside overnight. A special book about the magic of the holiday season and just how special it can be. So that is my huge collection of book mail that I wanted to share with you that I got over the summer. Let me know in the comments which one you're gonna grab first. I'll put links to all of the books in the description box down below so that you can grab one or multiple of them to use in your classroom throughout this school year. If you have any questions, or if there are any book collections that you would like to see, leave me a comment below. I love creating videos with books for things that you need. I know each month I try to talk about new books or books that are just being released, but I also want to know what you need books for. Do you need books for science or social studies or social emotional learning? Let me know in the comments and I can add it to my list as I'm planning videos out for this year. And make sure you come back next week because I will have a collection of September book releases. I should mention that these books, some of them came out over the summer, some of them are coming out in September and even a little bit later in the fall. So keep an eye out. Some you can get now, some will be a pre-order for later in the year. But like I said, I will leave links to all of those in the description box down below. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see you next week. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit that follow button so that you don't miss a video. I'm so excited to be back and making more videos for you. Have a great week.